Hello, fans, collectors, and investors. Welcome back to Iconic Baseball. I'm Iconic Al, back with another countdown video. Today's installment, number 58 on my list, features the highest ranked active player on the countdown. And that's pretty special. Players like this are pretty special because they only come around about once in a generation. I'm going to get deep into the stats with this player, believe me. But let me just boil it down to this. At the age of 31, he has already amassed 82.4 WAR, which is already well higher than the average Hall of Famer. As time goes, the only question in my mind is how much higher above this does he go on my list? How great is the next 5 years, the next 8 years for this player? And depending on how that goes, how he is able to establish career milestones. Can he establish a postseason career? This really could put this player into the inner circle of all-time greats. As of now, he's already there. He's in the upper tier. But we will see as the years go where this man ends up in the pantheon of baseball greats. I am talking about a 3-time MVP award winner, 350 home runs to his name already. I'm talking about the legendary Mike Trout.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and cracker jack. I don't care if I never get back. Let me root for the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game.
Mike Trout, the greatest player of the current era. As a stat dork, I can't wait to get into some of these stats because they are ridiculous. As I mentioned in the intro, at age 31, he's already up to 82.4 WAR, which is just an amazing pace that he's on. And the stats that underlie those numbers are even more ridiculous. If we go into, let's say, career average, 303 career hitter with a 415 on base, which puts him on another level. People like to look at OPS and OPS plus. Well, guess what? Mike Trout, his career OPS is over 1.002, which puts him on a top 10 level all time in the history of baseball. We're talking about players like Ted Williams, like Jimmy Fox, guys like that. Those are the players that through 10 years in baseball, Mike Trout is right with them, tracking right with those kinds of players. We're not talking about a small sample size here. We're talking about a man who 10, 11 years in baseball, he's tracking right with the greatest that have ever played the game. His OPS plus is the highest active in baseball at 176. Again, he may only be halfway through his career, and he's at 350 home runs, 1,543 hits, 896 RBIs. He's even stolen 204 bases. So he's got tools that even Ted Williams didn't have, that Jimmy Fox didn't have. You might say, well, he doesn't have a Gold Glove award. Well, that's true, but he has won the Wilson Overall Defensive Player of the Year, which some would argue is a more impressive feat. He won that in 2012. So clearly he distinguished himself as a well above average defender back in 2012. And then obviously, most detractors of Mike Trout would argue, yes, but postseason. Well, that's fair. He hasn't won the ring. He hasn't got to the dance. He hasn't been a World Series hero. Now, tell me, did Ken Griffey Jr. win a World Series? How many postseason games did he play? Do we think of Ken Griffey Jr. as an iconic, generational athlete? Absolutely. I believe that's sort of the track that Mike Trout is on, even if he's unable to get over the hump, get the ring. I hope for his sake and for the hobby's sake, he is. I'm really rooting for Mike Trout to be a generational guy, a guy that sort of captures this generation, is able, with Shohei Ohtani, to take the Angels to a World Series title. That would be amazing for the sport, amazing for me as a baseball fan, and I'd love to see it. Mike Trout is doing everything anyone could ever ask of an outfielder in the game of baseball, and he's fun to watch. He's a special talent. When you look back at the period of time between 2010 and 2020, it will be universally understood that the greatest player was Mike Trout. Simple as that. All right, let's get into some of my favorite Trout items. Actually, these are really my only Trout items. Let's start with a sleeper, kind of an alternative Mike Trout piece that I like on a budget. The reason I bought it. And I also like early items of iconic players. This predates his rookie card by 2 years. This is a 2009 TriStar Prospect Plus of Mike Trout. So 2 years prior to his rookie card. These came out shortly after he was drafted. A very young player at that point. There were not many of these produced. Granted, it's a second-rate card company, TriStar, not universally collected in the hobby. But one thing I really like about this card is the population. I've talked about it before in previous videos. Now, they really must not have produced many of these, because the total PSA population on this card is 259. That is how many they graded total. In a PSA 9, they've graded 85 examples. How many higher? 63. So there are only 63 PSA 10s and 83 PSA 9s. So there really aren't that many of these around for the very first year of Mike Trout issues. Well, I like this card, and it really isn't very expensive if you can find one. That's the key. Can you find one? So that's my kind of a sleeper pick, kind of an alternative pick, but I do like this 2009 Prospect Plus, Mike Trout. Now, when we get more mainstream, you get to my favorite Mike Trout rookie card, the 2011 Finest, which is a premium set, not overproduced like the 2011 Topps Update was. And all you have to do is dig down into populations and prices, and you'll find that this card is a tremendous value. At least I did when I did my research, and I saw that the Topps Update at a comparable grade was more than 3 times the price, and also 3 times the population, 4 times the population, and more. So you'll see that for some reason, this card gets no love. And I like it better than the Topps Update. Yes, the Topps Update is the one that everyone talks about. It's the one that everyone tracks on their Market Movers website. And that's great for them. But I'm never going to own that card because I like this card better. Because it's a premium set. It's not overproduced. It's not talked about nearly as much. And I like that. I like that about it. It's kind of a nice lower profile Mike Trout rookie card. But it's still Topps. You know, it's still a mainstream issue. Still got that rookie patch on the upper left corner. And yeah, I think it's a great value still. So that's my favorite Trout rookie card. And then the greatest piece that I own, I believe, is this signed baseball. It's a game-used baseball signed on the sweet spot in bold blue ballpoint by Mike Trout. I bought this, I think, in 2018, right when I was really starting to think, you know what, this Mike Trout guy, he's for real. He was really starting to emerge on my radar back in 2018, and he had strung together so many great seasons by that point that I started to realize that the market was starting to explode for Mike Trout, and if I didn't get a signature soon, I might not be able to. So I remember putting a bid in, and this is a MLB authenticated game-used baseball. Now this was pretty close to the beginning of that MLB authentication hologram program. They didn't keep the records as well as they do now, where they could tell you this ball was used in this pitch, in this count, to this hitter, it was hit to this outfielder. They didn't really track that stuff. This was from a charity signing back in 2017. And I remember putting a bid in before I went to bed, thinking, there's no way I'm going to get this ball. I think it was $260. And at that time, it's still a lot of money. But I put a bid in for like $265, thinking, all right, I was the high bidder when I went to bed, and I wasn't going to stay up all night because it ended at like 2 in the morning. And I'm not going to stay up all night because I had work the next morning. So I went to bed thinking, all right, I'll put my best bid in, hope for the best. And I woke up the next morning, the winner, at $261 or something of this beautiful ball. And it has like wear and tear on it, but I kind of like that because it's been in a Major League Baseball game. We don't know exactly which game, but if you go on MLB's website, you put in this hologram number, it tells you this was signed during a charity signing in 2017 by Mike Trout. We don't know what game this came from. We don't know if this is a ball that Mike Trout hit, a ball that Mike Trout caught, but presumably it was a baseball from a game that Mike Trout was involved in that then was signed for charity. So that really made my day. When I woke up that morning, the owner of a MLB authenticated game-used Mike Trout baseball. And what still brings me a lot of joy whenever I look at it. That's what I have for Mike Trout, the greatest player in the game today. I can't wait to see what the next 5 years holds for him. And I'm wholeheartedly rooting on the Angels because to see this guy in the postseason, the World Series, would be a treat. But even if we don't, think of that Ken Griffey Jr. analogy that I raised. That's not a bad legacy either. All right. So until next time, everyone, keep collecting and stay iconic.